Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Tom. How are you? It's Wednesday.
I am doing well, thanks. Yes. That's
Good.
Funny. I woke up this morning and I was like, is it Thursday or Wednesday or what day is it? It's one of those mornings.
It's one of those weeks. You're not the first person to say this. I talked to two people yesterday who said it's Tuesday, right? I think we've hit the February doldrums. You know, the days are short. It's been gray. We had a little bit of snow in the eastern part of the country, and it's just sort of blah weather. You know, this is where seasonal affective disorder is at its peak because the sun's at the lowest point. And so I know for me, I have to force myself outside into the sun and get fresh air because otherwise I will sort of droop like a wilting flower.
Is that why Valentine's Day is this week? As a little boost to everybody's winter doldrums?
It could very well be. It could also be an opportunity for the flower industry to sell flowers at a time when they normally wouldn't, because the $9.99 bouquet that I normally buy my wife, I went to my local grocery store last night, and that $9.99 bouquet was $39.99. So that's a pretty good markup. If you can mark something up 4 times, I want in on that. We should quit this and start growing roses, and red roses would be gold.
I don't think that's real for me, but that's okay. That's what you're thinking about. That's all right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Tom Brush, and that is Bob Graham, and this is today's Antidote, our daily web show. I still don't know what to call this. Anyhow,
I call it a broadcast.
All right. So after 250 broadcasts, now maybe I have a more appropriate name to share with you. Anyhow, it's our
funny
daily broadcast where we try to provide one thing, the one thing to help you move forward and take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. And we, during this broadcast, will provide that one thing based on the topic that may help you today, and it might not help you until next week or next year. And we hope that as you're listening along, if you have thoughts or comments, please share them, because it does enhance our show and it might help someone else. If you have a different one thing, please share that. Again, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching it recorded, because we know that for each of us, the topic is going to be different, because what's real for us is different for someone else. So by sharing it, you'll be able to have some influence over some people in our community. So our topic this week is being right. And today we're talking about, is it situational? And, you know, I think the challenge is that it seems like we always want to be right. And, you know, it's such a weird topic for me because I just, you know, this is one of those words that I try not to use. Because I think it's a hard thing to accomplish. And I know that this is something that a lot of people think about when they think about, I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. So what are your thoughts on this, Bob?
Well, I want to go back to what you just said, if I can. You said this is a hard thing to accomplish. Walk us through that. Talk us through that, because that I feel the same way, and I haven't been able to put words to that. So can you help describe what that thought process is for you?
Well, yeah, because I think that if our goal is to be right, and if at some point we say, and I think so many people eventually do, I was right, which could just mean I was right, or it could mean I was right and you were wrong. And it's really a judgment on a result that you're looking at in the moment. And I feel like I think I shared this earlier this week, if you feel like you are right, you have now closed yourself off to that it might, for someone else, yeah, it might be right for you, maybe. Is it right for someone else? Is it right for everyone else? And, given the fact that we are all unique, my feeling is that that's a really, I'm just not sure you get there. And I think even if you think you got there, you're missing out on the opportunity to continue to grow, because in reality, I believe that's what's real for you. This is based on your knowledge, experience, and perspective. You are sharing what you believe is real, not that it is right. Because to me, right seems like there's no way it could not be this, that this is the answer. And I think that, when you think that you've reached that point, it's when you start to shut yourself off to other things that are going to pop up, and you are not going to be ready for them.
I'm not sure who said this. I see a comment I want to put up there. I let go of being right quite some time ago. I'm more than satisfied with learning in any situation I'm in and providing the same for those around me. I think that's a great way to look at things. I know for me that has been an area that I've tried to grow in, but it's not always as easy as it seems. So, Tom, let me give you a situation. This is a little different situation than we talked about before the program. About 2 years ago, I went for a CT scan. I have some tumors in and around my liver that have been there for years, and thankfully they don't do much. They just hang around and look like a golf course in my lower right side, which is nice. And as they were doing the CT scan about 2 years ago, they found a shadow or a mass that had never been there before. Doctor said, hey, you need to go, it's in your appendix. You need to go see a specialist. We made an appointment. We talked to a specialist, and the specialist said, hey, whoa, that might be a tumor growing there. You should have your appendix removed. Okay. Got a second opinion? Yeah. It's a tumor. You need to get your appendix removed. So I had my appendix removed, and guess what? It wasn't a tumor. It was a shadow. And they couldn't find that out until after they had removed it. It wasn't like, we'll go in and fish around, and if it's bad, we'll do it if it's not. And so there's a situation where the best recommendation, and believe me, I wasn't eager for surgery. The best recommendation was, you've got to remove this. All the data points to it. But afterwards, the doctor said to me, on the bright side, you don't have to worry about your appendix with any additional tumors. On the downside, we took out an organ that we probably didn't have to. The situation is, there's no way diagnostically to be 100% in that situation. I looked at it, the doctors looked at it, they showed me situations where it looked like a tumor. I mean, I'm as a patient, I want to understand. I'm like a mini doctor. It's like, yes, that looks exactly like what you're describing. I agree we should do it. Situationally, it was the right decision. No one disagreed. Not one person. It's like, oh, you got to get that removed. However, in the end, maybe not the best decision. But with all the available data, the situation suggested I needed to do that. No, I'm not mad. I don't really give a damn. It was a pain to recover for a couple weeks, but, not the end of the world. But we have situations like that happen to us all the time. And the doctor wasn't trying to be right. That was one thing he said. He was very clear at the beginning. He's like, this could be a shadow. This could be, a benign mass. This could be a number of things. Okay. He wasn't trying to be right. He was just trying to give me the best recommendation. And I believe he did that. He apologized. I'm like, what are you going to do?
Well, right. I mean, I think that if we think that there's always a right, then sometimes that we get not confused, that it doesn't turn out that way. And then because we thought we were right, we have a much greater reaction. Right. It's one thing if you go into that saying, you know what, this might not be what we think it is. We just think this is the best course of action. Okay, take that action. Now you see the results. And now what has happened is that not only you, but also all those doctors have a chance to go back and say, all right, what could we have done differently? What went well? It came out. There was no issues. That was all good. What could we do differently? Well, maybe there's another angle we could have taken that picture from. I don't know. Maybe this is something that we need to now figure out so that we're not doing these type of procedures on an idea. And maybe there's never any way that you're ever going to be able to figure out that there's the difference. And I think that, yeah, you could have easily, if you felt like they told you this was the right thing, and now you could have sued them, right? You could have.
Yeah, I guess I could have, yes.
And I think that's because we're thinking that there is one answer, that there's just one answer. And I think what's hard is that there's a different answer for every person based on their unique situations. If you had been older and, maybe not in great health, the surgery might not have been the correct answer. I think we just have to live with the fact that they're not always going to be right. Even if it had been a tumor.
Right.
There might have still been other things that they could have done that might have worked as effectively that unfortunately we'll never know until we take that action.
Right.
And I think that if in any situation we wait until we feel we are right, we're either never going to take action or we are going to be so focused on the result rather than what we learned as a function of taking that action.
I think that's the crux of the issue, Tom, is if we wait for everything to be perfect, all the signs point to it, it's too late. There was the thing a couple weeks ago about GameStop. Right. And all the people investing in that. And I remember seeing a very early article in the Wall Street Journal, the first day it went up. And they're like, this is weird. Individual investors are affecting the stock market in a new way. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, that's kind of interesting. 2 days later, a friend said to me, boy, have you gotten your GameStop stock? I'm like, no, I saw I was going. Too late at that point. You've got to have some trust in yourself. Go through the things, and I'm not saying anyone should get GameStop stock or not get GameStop stock. I'm not a financial expert by any stretch of the imagination, but that's an example where people who jumped in early really benefited. Same thing with Apple. I mean, I can remember when I had a friend I worked with, and he's like, there was a day when Apple stock was $1.15. Can you imagine how much money we'd have now if we had bought 100 shares? We're constantly trying to hedge our bets. We're constantly trying to find that easy solution. And I think the reason we want to be right is we're afraid that if we're not right, it's a house of cards that can fall at any moment. Because I'll tell you right now, Tom, I don't know what the hell I'm doing any given day. I have a sense of what to do, but every day I face a new situation. Every single day. And sometimes 10 new situations. And yes, I can draw on prior experience, but the new situation is different. I was doing a training for an organization yesterday, and someone asked me a question about how to handle a situation. And I explained what I would suggest. And I said to him at the end, I said, that's what I would do. But I'm a lucky consultant because in my world, everything's perfect. I tell you what the textbook answer is, and you do it, and everything's great. Unfortunately, you have people. And you have personalities, and you have politics, and you have company policies, and all those things. So what I'm telling you may not land exactly correct. And he said, I'm so glad you said that. Because he was going to follow my suggestion. And then he said, when I started to think about it, it's not going to work because of this variable. I don't know all the variables. We
Correct.
never know all the variables. I don't know all the variables with my clients. I don't know what their finances are. I don't know what their wife or spouse or children are thinking about them. I don't know. I try to learn those things, but I can't know them until I discover them. And then, given more information, I have the opportunity to explore things in new ways.
Right. Well, I think it continues to go back to the results. We're so worried about the results that we're afraid to take action. Because, all right, let's go back to your Apple stock. Yeah, you could have bought that. You could have spent $200 on it. And at the time, no one had any idea. It could have tanked. And the people who made out in GameStop, maybe they make out today and they're like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. So now they go do it with I don't know, Kodak or Xerox.
I don't think you're going to do Kodak.
Well, so anyways, so they could, a similar company that's down and that's got nothing going on, and they could lose big. And so I think that it's the inaction that is the place that makes being right. If we feel like we have to be right, we're not going to take action. And to me, it's in the action that helps us learn. It helps us understand. As long as we are not taking action that is reckless, then we have the opportunity to better understand and figure out how do we move forward and take the next step. And I think, as business owners, I was talking with somebody on LinkedIn the other day, and they were sharing their new webpage that they were all excited about and whatever, and they were asking for feedback. And I was like, oh boy. So I took a look at it, and it was great. And there's a sparkler and a great picture on the cover. And the sparkler kind of covers up two of the sections that you would click on to go to something else. And I thought long and hard about, do I send this message? My fear was that the person would look at that and be like, oh my gosh, well, now it's all wrong. And now I have to redo it. And I have
take it down.
Right, I'm going to take it down. I got to put something back up. And
oh yeah.
So, I immediately, the first thing I said in my message was, this looks great. And here's one thing that I just happened to notice. Do not let this stop you from using this website. Just take it as a piece of information and determine how much that influences you. Is it something you feel like you need to change? Because the challenge is we all have different perspectives. Somebody once told me that I used to, in the fundraising world, struggle to write the perfect letter, the solicitation letter that was going out to thousands of people.
This is the letter that says, we love you, you're amazing, please give us money.
Please make a gift. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Some of us don't know the lingo.
All right. So I shared it with someone. And one of the things he always said to me was, that's just my perception. I'm only one person looking at it. He would do the same thing with like designs. What do you think? Doesn't matter what I think. Do you like it? Do you feel like it's meeting what you're trying to accomplish? And if that answer is yes, go ahead and take the action and find out the results. Don't worry about if it is right. Just worry about if it is, you have done the absolute best you can do. Take the action and then be willing to not judge yourself based on the outcomes. Rather, evaluate the outcomes and figure out how now I might do it differently the next time.
And I think that's the real thing that we're trying to get across, Tom, is that you've got to look at situations. And I will tell you, for me, every time now that I think I'm right, I play a little game with myself, which is, what if I'm wrong? Like literally, if I say to someone, hey, you should do this, I immediately say to them, hey, hang on a second, let me walk through. What if you don't do this? And we go through the possibilities, because to me, the discovery is often in the what if we don't do it the way I'm saying or the way you're saying. And so it's forcing our mind to think the opposite way, because that's the opportunity. I used to have a job where they called me the devil's advocate, because every time we were in a meeting, we'd come up with something. I'm like, okay, I got to go out and do the marketing. What if the people say this to us? And they're like, well, if they say that, that's a problem. We would often modify the solution based on me being able to say to them, we're going to get this kind of feedback. Are we prepared for that? Can we withstand that as a company? And that would often change our perception, because we went from the boardroom right to the public right. What's right by our customer? I would say that all the time. It's like, what's right for the customer? Well, right for the customer is this. Okay, why aren't we doing that? Well, yeah. And you laugh, but that's something I think that, we bring to the table a lot. I think often we lose sight of our customer and start saying, I've heard people say, I've said it once or twice, I know what they need.
Yeah,
I think those are some of the phrases that when you say that, that's when you start to get into that, I've got to be right, it's me or nothing, and you lose those other perspectives. And to me, the beauty of business is the meshing of my perspective, my unique perspective, and all the other perspectives into something that works for a lot of people.
And there's a fine line because you'll never know that. You'll never know how every single person is going to react. And so sometimes, yes, I think your idea is great. You go down and say, okay, well, what do I think my customer would think? Better yet, you ask some of them, and you could never ask all of them. And so if you feel like you need to get one more and ask one more person, and then I'll get it right, you just maybe have a better idea of what's real for more people, not that what's right. Because even if you surveyed 100,000 people, there's still another 299 million people, maybe I don't even know the number, in our country that would have a different opinion if they saw it. And so I think that at some point we just have to decide we've got as much information as we feel like we need at the moment to take an action. Now we'll wait and see what the results are, and not just today, tomorrow, a week from now, 6 weeks from now. And then we'll adjust and figure out how to keep moving forward. So that if we are always believing that we are not right, not that we're wrong, it's just what is real for us at the moment based on the knowledge, information, experience, and perspective that we have, let's take an action. So as we get close to our end of our show, Bob, what's your one thing today about being right, and is it situational?
I think it's check the situation, and if you think you know exactly what's going on, play in your head or out loud what the opposite might be true. If someone says that everyone's doing this thing, what if no one's doing this thing? Because somewhere in the middle, that's where the solution lies, the best solution.
Or at least the real solution.
Or the real solution.
All right,
I'm going to get it down one of these days.
If you have a different one thing from today, we'd love for you to share it. We'd love to hear your thoughts on being right and what you thought, whether Bob and I are completely out of our minds, which is possible. Or maybe we're just sharing what's real for us. And hopefully that maybe strikes a chord with what your experience, knowledge, and perspective is and influences what's real for you. Please share that inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group or in the comments below. And if you are not yet a member of our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, I hope that you will join us. It's a community that we are bringing together of people who are trying to figure out how to take their next step, who are trying to step away from the status quo. That's why we're renegades. And who are trying to carve out their own unique pathway to success and figure out how to take the next step. So if you want to join us in that group, just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades. It is a private group, so you will have to ask to join. But all you need to do is ask and tell us why you're a renegade. And then you can become a part of our growing community as we try to help one another figure out how to take those next steps. So please join us there. And hopefully we'll see you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. And if you are stuck and trying to figure out if you need to take more steps, if you need to get more influence, if you're not sure what your client or customer might think about, might be a great time to join our Renegade Success Network, where we're helping people take those next steps. And here is some further information about the Renegade Success Network. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Are you struggling to make your vision a reality? Are you stuck and don't know what to do next? Are fear and doubt holding you back? The Renegade Success Network will help you determine the next steps on your pathway. Here is some of what you will get: Create Your Pathway Call to start you on a better path. Unlimited laser solution sessions to keep you from getting stuck. Nurture Your Network events to build your network with other successful leaders. Monthly Renegade challenges to prepare you for what lies ahead. The Renegade Success Vault, giving you access to videos, tools, and tips on specific topics anytime you need them. And the Renegade Success Network community, an exclusive Facebook group of like-minded renegades, all working towards achieving their goals. You have a choice. Do it yourself and fumble forward slowly and alone. Or join the Renegade Success Network and be part of a community built to help you find your own pathway. Join today at renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Act now and jumpstart your journey on your own pathway to success.